Are you ready to be inspired and encouraged? We welcome you to a Victorious Spotlight hosted by Pastor Tony Smith and Victorious Ministries International. Join in as we dive into real-life conversations of triumph and victory and discover how God is working through everyday people like you and me. Don't miss out on this uplifting and faith-filled show. So grab your loved ones and tune in as we experience the power of God's love in action. Let's get into the broadcast.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us with this pop-up. Listen, we want to thank Pastor Tony Smith and Victorious Ministries for this opportunity. For those of you who were not with us when we aired part one, this is part two, and we are going to spend some time talking a little more about the college life. For those of you who have children that are in school, or for those of you who are in school now, I want you to share this with some other people who can benefit from this conversation. We're trying to share some insight and enlighten you on what you need to do to be prepared for success in college so that you will be able to achieve what you're aiming for and not fall for what is also available for you. So we have some great people here with us to further this conversation. I'm grateful for my co-host who always presents some great information, and whenever the two of us hook up, a party ain't a party till we run through it.
No doubt. But we're gonna keep things on the humble here and keep things pushing right along. So thank you, Pastor Marcus, and certainly grateful for this opportunity. And part two, I'm so excited to jump in to part two of preparing for, experiencing, and journeying through the college life. And we want to talk at this point about what someone can do who maybe isn't really prepared for, I won't just say college, but let's say they don't know what major they want to take up when they go away to school. All they've heard, you grow up, you're going to get out of this high school. When you graduate, you're going to college. But they don't know what they want to do. And I think that's real. Yeah, they want to go to college, but don't necessarily have an idea of what career they want to pursue. What could any of you offer? I don't know if all of you knew what you wanted to do when you went to school, but what could you say to someone like that that's unsure that can help them?
And just state your name before you start talking for the people who may not remember your name from the last time they saw you.
Okay, I'm Summer again. Hey. I was the child who always knew what she wanted to do. However, there was a time where I started to become unsure. And I knew people at school who came in and it was like, I don't actually know what I'm here for. I'm just here because my parents told me I had to go to college. I had to get out the house. So they do have, I was a biology major, the regulars. You want to go to school to be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a psychologist, be an engineer, be something. Those all, the generally normal ones. But there are people, like you said, that really don't know. And what I did learn when I got to college is that they have like a general studies major. And so you'll kind of just take a little bit of everything, like the basic stuff, a little bit of everything until you figure out what exactly it is that really piques your interest. And then it's also important, like I said in the previous show, to connect with your advisor, because they're going to show you, different routes. Like, this is what you can do with a degree in this. This is what you can do with a degree in this, or a certification in this, because you might not need a whole bachelor's degree. Maybe you just need an associate's degree. But it's about kind of just discovering what all the majors and things have to offer and what you can do with that once you actually get the degree.
So it's Dontre again, and I would say for me, going into college, my original major was accounting because, going through high school, I was pretty much good with numbers. So I'm thinking, let me go ahead and mess with accounting. And like I told y'all in part one, accounting wasn't it no more. So that's when I then switched No, for real, I'm being for real. I then switched to finance, and finance was like a comfortable spot for me because I learned that it's like investing and all that kind of stuff. I learned that a little bit, and then I also took a minor in management. So one day I want to have my own business and stuff like that. But other than that, just no, accounting wasn't it for me. So I knew to switch after my second semester of college.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anyone on this side want to jump in?
I know our topic was for people that don't know what they want to get into when they get in there, but I will say so I specifically would like to say don't be scared to switch what major you're in or whatever you're doing. And I will say the earlier you do it, the better technically, because you have more time. You stay more on track of your 4 years or your 2 years of doing. But I will say do not be afraid to instantly switch if you feel as though you basically have to, or like you feel like the major that you're in is not for you. Like I said, the earlier is the better, but you just have to have faith and trust that in your own self that you have the judgment and the withal to know what you feel as though is right for you and what's not. And like I said, you can always take that first year or so to just figure things out. Like Summer said, they have general education and everything. If you feel as though you're not going in and you don't know what you want to do, that's always a good start. And also meeting with your advisors and also knowing your teachers and everybody are also human beings. Just going into office hours, you can build relationships with those people, and from there you can have conversations, and from there you also realize, hey, I might want to do something that they're doing. Hey, I don't really like what they're doing. And just building connections also helps with figuring out what you want to do.
Great. Now, Summer, you mentioned something. You said there was at one point where you were unsure about whether you had selected the right major. Tori or Chris Gray, did either of you ever feel unsure about what you selected? And if so, I'm going to ask the two of you, and I'm going to come back to you, Summer, and ask what kept you on track? What got you back on track?
So for me, I originally was going to school for criminal justice. And no, it was legal studies. I was doing legal studies, and then that's what I'm saying, I forgot anyway. But because I wasn't interested. But I chose legal studies because that's what everybody else at my school who wanted to be a lawyer, like the majority of people were like, I'm going to school for legal studies. That's the normal pathway. That's what we're gonna do. But I was in like my first month as a freshman. I started to look at my classes, and then I actually had a philosophy class with my philosophy program director. But at that time, I was not in the philosophy program, so I was like, I'm gonna get through this class, and then I'm gonna move on, because that was the hardest class in my life. But so I was in it, and I'm like, this is really intriguing, even though it is extremely challenging. I feel like I'm being challenged, and I usually do not feel like I'm challenged. So I'm like, I think this might be good for me. So like I said, I continued to communicate with my professor, and I found out that he was the program director for the program. And then he was saying, like, he gave me a lot of information on the program, and I'm like, well, let me research this. And at that time, there's a period of time in your first semester where you're undecided, because you don't get to declare a major until you hit a certain amount of credits. So and everyone was saying, well, you don't have to declare a major yet, so you can still change and it won't affect anything. So I just looked at like all the majors I could do in College of Public Affairs and in the arts or whatever. So I was looking, and I'm like, the worst thing that could happen is I got to switch back to legal studies. So I just switched my major, and I think that was the best decision for me, because I was like, let me step away from the crowd, let me step away from what everyone else is doing and see what fits me best. And I learned that from experience. So I would say, don't be so structured, or don't be so caught up in following the program. Just listen to your experiences. I feel like philosophy was a better fit for me. So whatever you feel like is a better fit for you, just talk to people about it, do some research. Don't talk to one person and change your major, because they're biased. So you want to talk to multiple people. Like I was talking to the program director for the philosophy program. He was like, well, don't just listen to me because this is my program. I'm going to tell you to come, but don't just take my word for it. Do some research. And that's what I did. And I think that I made a good decision. And worst comes to worst, I can change it again. So it's not that serious. Just make sure you are thinking about it.
Great. You said something powerful there, and even the Word of God teaches us that wisdom comes from a multitude of counsel. So don't take one person's story or advice and then make a life-changing decision off of that. Now, Tori, you went to an arts school where your primary focus was dance. That was it. Did you ever have an experience where you say, I don't know if this is it for me?
Yes, when I was in high school, my mother, not to my parents, my mother made me take business and finance. So I doubled up on all of that freshman year so that by the time I hit my senior year, I could do more like, I didn't do work study, but I did being like teacher's aides. So like my senior year, I think all I had left was my math class and then a gym class. So I was just in school being an aide. But so the plan was to continue in finance when I went to college. Because when I was in high school, I only danced because my mother said I have to keep dancing because she paid all that money. But I promised her if she let me go to a regular high school where I could play sports, then I would continue to dance outside. And so then my senior year, my coach was getting letters for me to run track. And I was considering running track, but I had to think about the type of person that I was at that time and what I can handle. And I knew that a high school coach already was a lot for me. Like the yelling and the aggression is too much. Like I'm very talk to me in a respectful tone. I'll be respectful. And I was like, I don't think that I could do that in college because it's more intense. And then also, if I ran track in college, what was I going to do after that? And then also, I would have to still have a minor and still it was so much that went on to being an athlete. So I was like, I'm probably not going to do that. But I was like, I really do not want to do business again. And I was like, well, dance is always still in my back pocket. Like I am kind of good at it, so I can do it. So when I went to UArts, they sold me a different experience than what I got. And they had changed the curriculum right before I got there. So what I thought I was going into, I was not going into. And so I had a very challenging time because in the arts, I have a certain standard and then my teachers had different standards. And so I didn't think, it wasn't that I wanted to change my major, but I just, spiritually, it wasn't aligning. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to pass because there's things that they want me to do that I just cannot do. And so I stuck it through. And I ended up taking music as a minor, and I didn't know that I could do that at first. And so I took a music class, and then I was writing, and I was learning classical and country and all this stuff that I was like, okay, maybe I didn't want to do this. But I was excited to do something different, and I was able to continue to do that. And so I kind of just pushed through, and I always say thank God for COVID. COVID saved my life because I didn't have to go to that school no more. But it also told me to just persevere, and then also it's not typical for dancers to really make it and be successful financially. So I'm grateful that I stuck it through because I was able to meet certain people that got me into certain rooms. And although I thought I would be dancing for Alvin Ailey or some big company or a small company and then having to work at a coffee shop to pay my bills because dance wasn't going to pay my bills, I was blessed enough to persevering there helps me be able to persevere in the commercial world where I can still have that standard because I did it in school. And I think that if I didn't do those years that I did at UArts, I probably would have buzzed a long time ago in dance for the money. But it was like you can get both and have standard. God will bless you. All I need you to do is just do what I'm telling you to do. So that was my thing when it came to, because I didn't have the type of academic studies that they had, so my struggles were just a little bit different.
That's good. And as her former dance teacher, which I really was at Camp Judah, and by the way, the choreo was fire, but that's not what we're talking about. the reality of standards is something that a lot of people don't discuss often enough for college students, because while you are a college student, there's a level of maturity that you're expected to have, but there's still also a level of disrespect that you get for your maturity. So how do you maintain your standards in both arenas toward your school and maintain your standards towards your family that you're away from?
I got one. It's a quick line. My thing is be open, but don't be green. Don't be dense. So it's okay to, have experiences and all that, but please don't be green. Like, we just can't be green.
Say that again. What's that one line you have again? Say that again. That was good.
Be open, but don't be green.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, that's a pretty good statement. That's basically what she's saying is just stay true to you. Like I know for me, when I was home, I didn't really drink a lot, all that good stuff. But a video from me got surfaced to my parents somehow, and I was standing in a chair, chugging a bottle, but at the time I was enjoying myself. But back home, my parents was like, "This is not the child that we raised for real." But we talked about it, and it's like, what y'all do? Y'all don't drink around me and all that good stuff, but at the same time, it's my life. So drinking was like me having fun, basically. And then I really don't drink as much as I used to no more, because when I was in college, every weekend, I was a broke college student, but I was still trying to drink. So I would say, like Tori said, be open, but don't be green. Stay true to you.
Nice. So now toward the family side, because you're sent to school with a level of expectation to produce. And as parents, we tell you, you have to be responsible and you gotta maintain life. This is your opportunity to do and all of that. But at the same time, we also put stipulations on you of what you can and can't do, which can potentially be contradictory to the maturity that I'm telling you to have. So how are you able to balance that of being able to be a small adult and still be a big child?
I think for me, that's kind of what because I'm a sophomore, I'm still going through that right now. And that was something that at first it was like irritating, I guess, because it's like you're in a weird stage. So usually, because I'm still home, so it's also even weirder because it's like I didn't go away. So I'm still like in the same proximity as my family, but I'm in my own lane. So it's like I have some freedoms. I do, because I'm technically in college. I had the college experience, but at the same time I'm home. So it's like, I guess in the beginning I was like, how is it supposed to work? Like, I got a curfew, and then it was kind of like unspoken. So like, I guess my whole thing is communicate with your parents to figure out what are the rules. What does this mean? Because I went from high school where I just come home from school every day, and I got to get approval. Like, can I go out to eat with this girl or whatever? And it would be like, well, talk to your father. But now it's like there's more freedom, but it's like I have clear communication with my parents. That's what it is. So I can be like, hey, I'm just gonna go to the mall real quick. Hey, I'm going to get some food. And it's like, it's more about safety with me and my parents because we had that relationship. We're close. It's not about I don't trust you. It's not about you sneaking out. It's more about like I just want to know where you are because I trust you. I know you're gonna make the right decision. So one, I guess you gotta have some type of trust or bond with your parents. You gotta show them that you're able to be trusted. You gotta have a good reputation with your family. If you was sneaking out in high school, if you was breaking the rules in high school, I don't know what you expect when you go to college. But for me, I built a good bond with my parents. They trust me so that it's easier now when I have more freedom. They're going to be like, all right, you do have a curfew, but I got your location, so you good. So it's just clear communication and trust, I feel like is the answer for me.
Nice.
Good. Is there a method of communication? I mean, because when you say that, people communicate different ways, and people understand different ways of communicating, whether it's just verbally, whether it's through actions or facial expressions. So that's powerful. So I think with that, developing and expounding that communication between you and your parents, I think you too have to start with understanding how each of you communicate to one another and build off of that. That's powerful. Powerful. How do you maintain, let's say now that y'all church grown, right? Y'all church grown. That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they said. But you are. Okay. You're church grown. So to someone who may be watching, may have just tuned in just by happenstance, turned the channel and all of that, or streaming, what would you say, or what would you say to them as far as maintaining a standard where they don't get caught up in some type of lifestyle or practice that would take them off course? What words would you give to them?
Okay. For me, I think it was easier for me because my parents already kind of set a standard for me, and I've kind of latched on to that my whole life. And I think that a lot of people some people don't grow up with standards from their parents. Some people are on their own. Some people, their parents are not as involved in their life. Some people don't live in a two-parent household. They don't have the same experiences as me. So I feel like for someone, it was probably harder because they got to start from scratch. They have to make their own standards. They have to realize their limits. And it's like, that's different than my experience. My experience was, we don't do this in this house. I was raised not to do this. So it's like, it's already in me. I don't have to adjust. And my parents raised me to be a leader and not a follower, to be confident, to be comfortable in my own skin. And everywhere I go, that's who I am. That's Chris Gray. I do what I need to do, and that's it. But everybody's not like that. So I would say it's okay if you need to figure out your standards. It's okay if you need to rebuild your standards, but find some, get some, because if you don't, people are gonna make them for you, and don't let them do that. Like they said, be open, but don't be green.
That's honestly exactly what I was gonna say. You're gonna have to change and like adjust your standards, and it's not a bad thing. But it's also important to surround yourself with people, even if y'all don't at the start share the same standard, that they respect your standard. So no matter who I was around, the friends that I made, no, I can't go to brunch with y'all on Sunday because I gotta go to church. That's when I came back to school here. But when I was out of state originally, no, I can't do stuff with y'all on Sunday. I got to turn on streaming at 8 a.m. I got church, sorry. They'd be like, you can just watch it on the phone. No, I can't. I need to be in my dorm room. I need to be, having my private time, because that is the standard that I have. And if you can't respect that, peace. But I'm not changing on that. I'm not budging on that just because that's not what you agree with. Like that's fine with you, but this is something that I'm not budging on. Would I like to hang out with you? Absolutely, but it's gonna have to be after church is over. So it's just like I said, you have to create that standard, and it can be hard, very, very hard sometimes. You're just like, dang, I really do want to go, or I really do want to do this thing, or be with these people. They having this at the same time. We having a special service on a Friday, and the cafe is open, and they having a party in there, but we got a guest pastor out at home, and I want to watch that too. So it's just about creating that standard. Like, you can have balance. Absolutely, it's very important to have balance. I'm not saying you got to go to college, you got to be all churchy and holy and not be holy, but I'm not saying you got to make that like you can't do anything else except for church. No, have balance, but have standard. That's what's really important.
Something that Chris Gray said, we have the same parents, if y'all didn't know. But we grew up on the foundation that our parents set for us. And so for me, it's like when I lived in their house, that it seemed like that was enough. Like, my parents said this, so that's what I follow. And growing up, everyone would tell me, you were just like your mother. You were just like your mother. Like, oh my God, you are Smiley Jr., this and the third. And so, but then also like Chris Gray was like hope I can say this, but her father is adopted. So we don't know their side. So I feel like Chris Gray is like Chris Gray. That is who she is. But for me, I always felt like I'm my mother's daughter. Like they just say I'm like her, so that is what it is. And so when I was in college, I was finding myself, I didn't have my mother all the time, and I didn't have her in my ear instilling those things in me. And it was like, even though she told me my whole life, it felt like when I went away, it didn't feel like it started getting faint. And so when I started going through my own personal things, I had to start building my own standards. So what did they tell me? And then also I had to figure out, why did I believe what they were saying? And so I feel like when you get to college, you get into this place where it's like, yes, I'm an adult, but again, I still am accountable for by my parents. Like they the ones paying the money, so she's still gonna text that phone like, where you at? And for some reason, she always texts me when I was at the party, and I couldn't lie. I was like, we ready to leave. Like we ready to leave. Like sorry, but that was my struggle. I felt like it wasn't like living in her shadow, but it was just like I felt like I had to do everything like my mother because everybody told me I was like my mother, but my mother didn't go to college. So I don't have that part from her. And so it's like, and then my dad just like, have fun. Like, sir, no. And then, Chris is like, you got this. No. But she was like, I think that's the only time where I felt like, dang, it's not enough. And so, yes, have those standards that your parents set, or if they didn't set them, start to figure out who you want to be in life. And in order to be that person, what do I have to do and what can't I do in order to reach my purpose? And so that was like one of my things. And even at this age, not in college, being an adult, going through transitions in life, finding your career, but then also realizing like, maybe the career I always wanted is not what I want anymore, and like knowing like it's okay. And so it never changes, but standards are just very important. And I think I said it earlier, but I'm very big on, because I used to do this a lot. Sometimes when you did grow up in church and then you have so many people that you look up to with all these titles, it can get very overwhelming when you make mistakes. And I would beat myself up like, God forgave me, but I'm not forgiving myself. And then sometimes I feel like, oh, this is too bad. I can't even go to my mother because I know her standard. I know. So now I'm beating myself up about it, and I'm going through it by myself. And so just in those times, I wish that I was open more and also was more transparent, but also extended myself more grace, because I felt like a lot of what I went through it for a long period of time when it should have only been for a moment. So to anybody that's in college and you feel like you don't have the standard or you don't have the faith, just my main thing is just figure out who you want to be and what do you have to do to reach those things. And we are human. We make mistakes. Jesus never asked for us to be perfect. But when you make those mistakes, how do you learn from them? So that's my big thing.
That's good. That's good. And with what you guys have said, one thing that's pressing or sticking out at this point is that you can't tell people what your standard is. You have to show them. People will believe more of what they see than what they hear. And whether what they see is right or wrong, it's still something that's being presented to them. So it's important for us to present certainly what God would have us to present, since we're representatives of Him, right? Good stuff. Dominic, I'm going to ask you when, from what I can remember, even from the last show, I think that the computers and that sort of thing is probably has that always been your desire? Did you find, or what challenges, if any, did you find in keeping a standard or presenting something that was consistent?
I'd say one of my biggest challenges was not just not having a standard. Was I always had that. I'm pretty stubborn, so you can't really get me to move from what I already have set. But my biggest challenge was being consistent and keeping that standard So, of course, being in college, you always had that freedom. I've been here since I was like 2, but once I got to college and I didn't have to physically come over, take myself here physically Sunday, I was taking those rest days Sunday, and I ain't gonna hold you. I love, like, the first time in my life I ever had the actual, like, 2-3 day weekend to actually just rest was, I like regret not physically always being consistent and being here. Like, you already know, my mom had me at 8, 11, 3:30, 5:30 service, and I'm like, I don't know how y'all do it, because if I wasn't asleep and then wanted to service anything, I don't know how y'all sit through all that, but I definitely can say, even though I enjoyed like being able to have a rest day or like just have another day to keep myself on track with studying, I can say from experience and just from seeing how everybody else here interacts and everything that I definitely missed out on a little bit of my development, and also just not being here to help out with media like I do now. I definitely could tell that I definitely missed out on some things, and I'm just glad to be back here and keeping myself back on track with everything.
We're glad that you're here. We are so glad that each of you are here and still going through the journey. And we are grateful for the time that Pastor Tony Smith and Victorious Ministries International has allowed us to come and present this to you. I mean, while we could have another session, but you'll have to tune in next time to see if there is one. But we certainly, above all else, we definitely want to thank you for checking us out on today on this pop-up. And even the more, we want to invite you to spend the day with us, like Dominic was saying. Promise you, it won't be all that long, but definitely come and spend the day with us. Come worship with us each and every Sunday at 9 and 11 a.m. and then on Wednesdays at 12 noon and 6 p.m. So we encourage all of you to come forward. We pray that you've experienced and learned something that can help you, your family, and your children journey through life and be victorious in every area. So on behalf of Pastor Tony Smith and the VMI family, thanks for watching. God bless you. See you next time.